Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to today's coffee chat. Well, I'm super excited about what I'm going to be sharing with you today. It's my favorite of the weekly coffee chats that I share with you. But before I get in there, if you're new to my channel, welcome. Hi, great to have you here. Here I give you everything you need to know to make healthy eating habits that actually stick. I'm talking about the science of nutrition, the psychology of our food choices, behavior change, as well as the practical stuff like foods that I'm loving in the grocery store and cookbook reviews. And so that is exactly what we're doing today is a cookbook review. I want to make sure that you don't miss a single of my weekly videos. And so click the subscribe button below and the little notification bell so that you can reap the benefits of everything that I'm sharing that I've learned over my 24 years of nutrition experience over a casual cup of coffee here in my kitchen. Okay, so drum roll, please. It's time for our cookbook review. And this week I am reviewing Yum and Yummer. Here we go, close-up shot there for you. Now this cookbook, I reviewed it because of requests from you. I had a number of people requesting that I review this cookbook, and I was super excited when I received that request because this cookbook, Yum and Yummer, is from Greta Podleski. And Greta is one half of the co-author duo who created the Looney Spoons cookbooks. So I don't know if you remember those, but I sure did. I grew up eating her food. I, was a kid in the 70s and the 80s and the teens in the 80s and 90s here in Canada. And I remember my mom cooking from the Looney Spoons cookbooks a lot. And so I'm really excited that now that I have committed my entire adult life to food and nutrition, that I get to review one of her cookbooks from my knowledge now. So it's a little bit nostalgic, but also super curious now with all of my years of experience. In 24 years, let's take a peek back at Greta's recipes. And so super happy that she's created this new cookbook and that you requested for me to do a review. Okay, so, and I want to be really transparent. I always believe in full transparency. I buy the cookbooks for the reviews, including this one, with my own money. This is not sponsored. This is not a paid advertisement. This is my honest feelings from spending my own money to buy this cookbook, to doing all of the cooking, and I really get in there. Like I cook recipes from each cookbook. This one is no exception, to give you a thorough review of, should you spend your money and get your hopes up buying this cookbook or not? Okay, so getting into details about Yum and Yummer. First off, I'm a tactile person, maybe you are too. Nice texture, it's a pleasure flipping through the pages. They're all glossy like a magazine, and every recipe does have a photo. So if you are visually oriented, you're maybe newer to cooking and you're not so sure about how to pick good recipes, so you really need those visual cues. Got some great photos with every one of her recipes here. Just a couple of examples to show you, just flipping through random pages. So beautiful layout, beautiful full glossy images. And what are the recipes about? This is an omnivorous cookbook. So there are plant-based recipes, there are meat, there are poultry, there are seafood recipes. And I do notice that Greta is from Ontario, and I notice that how she handles seafood tends to be more from that Ontario kind of interior, we call it back east point of view. I'm here in Victoria on the West Coast. We often do seafood a little bit differently. The salmon we get here, those sorts of things have a little bit of a different flavor profile often. So I do notice that, but yes, omnivorous cookbook. And so let me get into the table of contents to break it down for you a little bit more specifically. Okay, so she starts off with, she's got a lot of cute little names going on. So snackatizers, which are appetizers and snacks. Raising the salad bar, pretty cute. spoons and swoons. So these are like soups and chilies, like one bowl meals. Meatless and marvelous. So those are her plant-based meals. Fish delish, fowl territory, meat lovers. And then she has sideways, which are her side dishes, sweets and treats, and then good mornings. So quite a thorough cookbook covering you the whole day from breakfast recipes through to entrees and side dishes, as well as some baking in the end. So as you can see, I cooked up a storm, and so what recipes did I try? What can I give you specifics about? I can tell you that most of the recipes turned out well, with a couple of duds, and I wouldn't even call them necessarily duds, but ones that I was disappointed with how they turned out, but with a little bit of adaptation could totally work. So the first one that I tried was in the snacktizer, the appetizers and snack chapter, and that was the broccoli and cheddar quinoa bites. They're looking like that, and this was a recipe in particular I had clients asking me about. So I made them, and I made them in the little mini muffin tin. I was planning to go to a party, and it was a bit of a potluck, so I thought, aha, perfect opportunity to try this recipe. Well, I was not very cool because I ended up not bringing them to the potluck because they totally stuck in the dish. The little mini muffin tins, they went in, I cooked them, they did not come out. Now, I just greased the inside of the mini muffin tins, and they were delicious as I sat and kind of ate them with the fork out of the muffin tin. But what I would recommend is if you choose to do this recipe, it really needs a spray or paper liners. Then I think it would work really well. But yeah, just oiling the little divots, the little muffin divots in the muffin tin did not work. So disappointing there. Okay, but moving along. The next one, Greek lentil salad. Love this concept. If you like the flavor profile, everything about a Greek salad, but you're looking to eat more plant-based and want a salad that is a full meal, great idea. She added lentils to it. I mean, this is exactly up my flavor profile, exactly how I like to eat, and did not disappoint. Delicious. And you could easily make it with the feta cheese or make it completely plant-based and just omit the feta cheese. That's actually what I did. I kind of did half with feta and half without. Absolutely delicious either way. For the next dish, this was a really standout dish. And two kind of back to back, really close to each other in the book, but two really standout ones. And those were her full meal salads. So this was the winter grain salad. Beautiful photo. And what I did is I added some canned black beans to it to make it a complete dish. This one has cubed butternut squash, and I used the frozen cubes. Super easy, saved me all the work of cutting up a butternut squash. With brown rice or barley, I did brown rice myself, and pomegranate seeds. Love that. And I bought the little cups of already seeded pomegranates because it's his time of year, and the whole pomegranate doesn't look very good. Often I see frozen pomegranate seeds too, so that could again make super easy prep for this dish. With parsley and mint, and again feta cheese, delicious. And then the next one that I tried, where are we here? Oh, California quinoa salad. Here she's getting a little West Coast style, and yep, full approval from this West Coaster. Here's a picture of it. She said it's inspired by a Whole Foods salad. I haven't actually tried that one, even though I'm a fan of Whole Foods and eat there often. But this, absolutely delicious. I fed this one to my sweetheart, and he was all over it. So again, super easy prep. I used defrosted frozen mango as well as frozen edamame. Super easy, super quick prep for it. Delicious salad. I will absolutely make this again and again. This is in my regular repertoire now. Thank you. Okay, moving along to some hot dishes. I tried her sweet potato and black bean chili. I mean, doesn't that photo just make you want to eat it? Yeah, and it was good. I admit it was a good chili, although I make a damn good chili. The best one I've ever tried. Thank you, Mom, for teaching me that one. And so, yeah, did not usurp my mom's chili, but this is still a worthy dish. I also tried her stuffed bell pepper soup. This is like kind of old-fashioned comfort food, family-friendly, good one. I also tried, ooh, this was a really good one. Italian turkey sausage, tomato, and white bean soup. Beautiful, beautiful photo and delicious flavor profile. And the turkey sausage I happened to choose at my local Save-On had a lot of fennel in it, and that just really was a great flavor profile for this soup. Super hearty, super exactly what I want to eat in winter. Again, my sweetheart was all over this soup. He loved it. And I love that she's using the white beans in here as your starch food. Beans and lentils, really they have like a foot in the kind of protein foods and a foot in starch foods, but they're super, super low glycemic index carbs. So they are a fantastic choice, particularly if your blood sugar tends to be a little more spiky. And those of us who are 40 plus who need to be eating a little bit lower carb in general, I love that she's used the white beans in the soup. So the soup, full meal in one, love that, and it was delicious. So I will be making this one again. Moving along, cauliflower, chickpea, and sweet potato curry. Yum. This was a great one, particularly if you're not as familiar with doing plant-based meals. This is hearty and delicious. Now she shows it served with some brown rice here. Again, for those of us 40 plus, I would say the sweet potatoes in there have enough carbs in, as well as the low glycemic index carbs in the chickpeas. So I would serve it just on its own. But if you've got, say, some kiddos or that you're also cooking for who might prefer just some rice going on with it, equally could do it, serve it with the rice too. I also tried her spaghetti sauce, the lentil and mushroom pasta sauce. So this is a vegan dish. Now she calls it a bolognese, and I would say you're not going to fool anybody, any meat eaters, with this pasta sauce pulling off that it's actually got meat. It does not. Does that mean it's not tasty? Absolutely not. This is a delicious pasta sauce. It's hearty, it's filling, but I wouldn't necessarily call it a bolognese. And yeah, the umami from the mushrooms and the heartiness from the lentils, definitely a good dish. Ooh, and the next one, she nails it with the sauce for this dish. This is going to be a comfort food for me. I'll be making this one in my repertoire, and it's the peanutty sesame noodle bowl. Oh yeah, I'm all over this. Delicious. Now, in the recipe it calls for soba noodles. I'm not so sure about soba noodles, so I used pasta noodles, gluten-free pasta noodles for myself, but I just did a pasta noodle. It would also be delicious with a rice noodle. And yeah, the flavor profile that she hits with that peanut sauce, exactly what I'm looking for. Oh my goodness, delicious. Particularly, and it uses tofu as the protein here. So if you are newer to tofu, this would be a great dish because it really has a ton of flavor. And the technique she teaches for sauteing, pan frying the tofu gives it more of a crunchy crust. So gets rid of the kind of blandness and some of the texture that often newer people to tofu don't like about tofu. I mean, I love tofu, I can eat it anyway, but this, I thought, this is a great dish for somebody who wants to get into eating tofu, more plant-based meals, get the protein from it, but is a little nervous. How the heck do you handle tofu? And now this one, she called for bell peppers. I didn't have bell peppers in the house, so I substituted cabbage in there. Delicious. So this is a really, really flexible dish, which is what you're looking for in a stir fry, right? Like you want the sauce to taste good, but you want to be able to throw in whatever vegetables you have on hand. That's how I use a stir fry, and this one totally held up for that. Okay, and then a pasta that I loved too, and it's the lemony salmon bow tie pasta. Again, here's the photo. Beautiful. And so this I thought was delicious. Now I again did a little substitution. I mean, it's January. Asparagus is not looking good this time of year in the grocery store. So I just did 100% peas. I doubled up the peas instead of the combination of peas and asparagus. And instead of using pre-cooked salmon, I used canned salmon. So again, frozen peas, canned salmon, super easy prep. Great dish for kind of the end of the week when you haven't been to the grocery store in a while, and so the fresh produce, you're kind of eating through it, but you still want to make a meal at home. Delicious, absolutely delicious. I tried it with her option of the evaporated milk because I wanted to give that a try. Now, the evaporated milk, they do add the carrageenan in there now, so which, there's some concerns around. So she also gives a cream version, and so that's the one I'll be making again because I will definitely make this again. This is, again, kind of that comfort food when you just want like a creamy pasta that has the healthy protein of some salmon and some veggies in there too. And yes, you don't have to do bow tie pasta. You can use any shape you want. But I would recommend a shorter pasta versus like a spaghetti or a linguine noodle. I think this one lends itself well to the shorter ones. Okay, moving on. When I saw this, I had to have a nostalgic moment. It's a meatloaf with quinoa instead of the breadcrumbs. And it's exactly everything you want in a meatloaf. I grew up eating that. This was a full-on throwback nostalgic dish, but with the quinoa instead. And you know what? It was exactly everything I wanted. It was delicious. And what I actually did, now I don't know if you ate meatloaf this way, but the one downside to meatloaf is that it takes like an hour to cook. Oh my goodness, I do not have an hour to make dinner most days. So what I did is I got in the kitchen and I made the meatloaf, put it in the oven, and then I made dinner for tonight. So that when an hour later the meatloaf came out, I got it to cool, put it in the fridge overnight, and then I had meatloaf sandwiches. I don't know about you, but when I grew up, we would have meatloaf the night in the night. Yeah, it was okay. It was just kind of a normal meal. But what I loved were the cold meatloaf sandwiches the next day. If there was a little piece of that meatloaf left, I was really hoping that I got the meatloaf sandwich that from the leftovers. And so I was like, you know what? I'm the adult now. I'm just going for the what I like the best. So I'm not even going to bother serving it hot. I am going to just make a whole meatloaf and eat it as meatloaf sandwiches. And I admit when I offered this to my sweetheart, he's like, it's what for dinner? And I was like, meatloaf sandwich, trust me. Because he did not grow up eating that. And so, but then when I was like, trying to describe it, and I was like, yeah, you're not going to get it. Just trust me. And then when I served it to him and he took his first bite, his eyes were like, oh. He loved it too. And so, yeah, this is a great meatloaf if you grew up with that and, you want a little something nostalgic maybe for yourself, maybe to introduce that to your family. This is a great updated meatloaf recipe. Okay, moving into the sides. This is what I served with the meatloaf sandwiches, is I did cook a hot side for it for the dinner, and it was the maple balsamic roasted Brussels sprouts. Here we go. It was, it was good. It was good. I prefer my roasted Brussels sprouts that I included in my own cookbook with paprika. That flavor profile is just a little more taste-wise is more up my alley. But this was delicious, and I was happy to try something new. And I never thought before to pair pomegranates with Brussels sprouts. Totally worked. It was a good one. Okay, and then I did a little bit of baking. You know that I'm challenged in baking, but I did it because it looked so easy, and it was the flourless peanut butter cookie. I mean, come on, peanut butter cookies are delicious. And this is one of those other recipes that there was a bit of a fail in. So I was disappointed because the instructions are to place the cookies on an ungreased cookie sheet. So I did that. And I put the cookies in the oven and the whole house smelled like baking cookies, and I pulled them out and I followed the cooling instructions, you know, waited patiently while they cooled. And then I went to take the cookies off the cookie sheet and they weren't budging. So a lot of disappointment. And you don't want disappointment when you want cookies, you want cookies. So I don't know if, you know, my cookie sheets are just kind of standard. Like they're not super old and grungy or anything, but they aren't brand new. So maybe if you have a brand new cookie sheet, it might work. I'm going to try it again and put it on some parchment paper and see how it goes. Because the cookies, you know, when I did pry the bits off and I ate the bits, they were tasty. It was worth trying again. But yeah, disappointment in that way. So I don't know about what happened there, but something happened. And then the last recipe that I tried was a breakfast recipe. And this was the coconut and banana pancakes. Oh yeah. Hands down, the best pancakes I have ever made myself. Oh my goodness, coconut, banana pancakes. And I did use gluten-free flour. Now, she has actually a recipe for a gluten-free flour mix. I just used a commercial one that I have on hand, but I'm curious to try hers another time. But if you are looking for a dairy-free recipe for pancakes, so this is a vegan one or dairy-free, and you like coconut, you like bananas, oh my goodness, definitely worth trying. I am making these again for a lazy weekend. Absolutely delicious. This cookbook is worth this recipe alone. So good. So good. And so, yeah, those are all the recipes that I tried. There are a number of other recipes that I'm super curious to try. It's just the middle of winter, so maybe not this time of year. But one is the shrimp, mango, and avocado salad cups. I mean, this is exactly what I want to eat in the spring and summer. And so when the spot prawn season happens, I'm going to be cracking open this book to get at this recipe because it looks delicious. Also, she has a recipe for making your own almond milk, and I don't make my own. I buy the commercial one. So I'm curious. I'm gonna give hers a try. A couple of the other cookbooks I have, I'm gonna give that a try too, just to kind of experiment with it and see how that goes. But those are a couple of other recipes that I'm curious to get trying. Now, anything else in this cookbook of note that I want to mention? Yeah, one thing that's maybe a little bit on the slightly, I wouldn't say like super negative, but a little bit on the downer side is that now in my previous video that I had this month when I was talking about the top food trends of 2020 that I was excited about, two things that I mentioned is one, that there's an appreciation of protein happening now and how important it is to get enough protein in our diets. And also that I was so happy that we've thrown off this like fear of fat. We're embracing fat, recognizing the important role in our diets now. And so the low fat days, we've waved goodbye to those. Here's the thing. This cookbook is by one of the best-selling cookbook authors during that low fat era. So even though she specifically says, you know, I'm not going to say what's healthy, I'm not getting into that, I still feel like there's like a little bit of a hangover from the low fat era, a little bit of an influence in there. Some of her recipes are kind of higher carb, particularly for us on the 40 plus side. And I'm not talking eating like a low carb diet, but you know, it's a little bit high carb, some of the serving recommendations, a little bit light on the protein in some of the recipes. And also I noticed she had this stamp on some of the recipes calling things splurge worthy. And I didn't really see her definition. Maybe I missed it, but I didn't see what she just defined as splurge worthy. Like what made one recipe splurge worthy versus another. But when I was looking through them, I was noticing there are recipes that are a little bit higher in fat. So I'm wondering, is there a little bit of a hangover there? Why would something be splurge worthy and not just healthy meals like the rest? For example, one of them that's labeled splurge worthy is the chicken and wild mushroom skillet. I mean, it's mushrooms, which are awesome, and boneless, skinless chicken breast, but it does have cream in it. Another one that I noticed had that splurge-worthy button was the salmon pasta that again had cream. Another one that is splurge-worthy is a steak. So I'm not sure what makes them splurge-worthy, but I was like, it kind of gut reaction was a little bit of this like low-fat hangover days. So that's a little bit not crazy about in the cookbook. But, as long as you ignore that, I think this is a great cookbook. And then something else that it does have that, I think is really a cool idea is each recipe has a QR code and you can scan that with your phone and then watch like a 1-minute video of how to cook that recipe. I didn't use it, I admit. I'm old school. I'm very comfortable opening up a cookbook and making a recipe from that. But I think this would be a particularly useful tool for the more novice cook. For someone who isn't as sure, like what does sauteing look like? What does getting, onions to translucent kind of look like? If you're newer at cooking, that could be a great thing about this cookbook. So it's kind of bridging cookbooks with the modern technology. So I thought that was really good. So overall, is this cookbook approved? Yes, definitely. Yum and Yummer by Greta Podleski is cookbook approved. It's approved by me. I think it's a particularly great cookbook for omnivorous people. If you're a more novice to an intermediate cook, that's who I would recommend this cookbook for. If that sounds like you and you want to head on out and get that right away, stay in action, I do have a link in the description box below, straight through to Amazon to order that to you, or pop on down to your local bookstore and pick it up there. Now, I want to give you a little teaser, a little heads up to what is the next cookbook that I'll be reviewing, and I'm super, super excited. Again, this is from your requests, and it's Oh, She Glows Every Day, Angela Liddon. So if you are curious for more plant-based recipes, if you are vegan, you'll definitely want to catch the next cookbook review of this cookbook. I mean, a leading author. She's got other cookbooks out. I'm going to be checking out this cookbook. And those are the only one that I have planned for the rest of this year. And I do a cookbook review every single month. So if you have a cookbook you've been curious about, an author, a blogger that you're hearing is having a cookbook coming out this year, you're wondering, is it going to be worth buying, investing your money, getting excited about it, let me know. Include your recommendations in the description box below because, hey, I spend my own money and I go on out and I buy those cookbooks and I cook up a storm so that I can give these reviews to you so that you don't have to do the guessing game. You can just be efficient with your time and both time and your money heading out to get the cookbook, but also your time and money in the kitchen. So please include your ideas in the description box below. And while you're at it, hey, if you like today's video, let me know. Click the little thumbs up button. Have a wonderful week, and I look forward to seeing you back here next Thursday morning.